Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Beautiful passages. Beautiful passages, just right for this present moment in humanity, in the world where we live in nowadays. I don't know, when you read through this, I don't know what kind of feelings do you have. I have a very sad feeling when I read through these passages. It seems that none of these is happening in today's world. You agree? Anybody disagree? It's actually, yeah, I do have this kind of sad feeling that arises when I read through this. It's sort of like very heavy, and saddening, and not pessimistic. I'm still very optimistic because we still have the Buddha's teachings, but I feel for it. I feel the world for it. Yeah, okay, let us look at this. Community. So the Buddha said, community, there are 6 roots of dispute for a community. And you remember the little exercise, the little activity that we did last year. Were you here, Paul? We did, what is a community with strips of paper? No.
In the circle?
Yeah. So that was a community. That was a little play of community. I should have thought about that, and I could have played with you with Zoom. Okay, the Buddha said to Ananda, there are 6 roots of disputes. Okay, and he actually very detailedly, carefully actually laid out what are these 6. And the first one is angry and resentful. And when he addressed to Ananda, of course, these are actually addressed to the Sangha. And I'm sure, when I read through this over and over again, this must have been the 5th or 6th time I read through this book. And these teachings actually, even though it's addressed to the Sangha, Ananda, and a monk, he said, a monk is angry and resentful. And such a monk dwells without respect and deference towards the teacher, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, and he does not fulfill the training. So he is actually talking to the monks. He was talking to the Sangha, he was talking to the monks, but I feel that this is applicable for everybody. Everybody can use these teachings in their daily life, not just to the monks, not just for the monks. He said, if anybody is angry and resentful, they dwell without respect and deference. So we know when somebody is without respect and deference, their behavior would gone out of the way, right? So the Buddha said, if you do know that you actually dwell into this, you actually not fulfill the training. You actually create creates a dispute in the Sangha. You create a dispute in the community because of that anger, because of that resentment. So that would be for the harm and unhappiness of many. So who do you think this many actually include? Who are included in this word, many? That is the first paragraph, 7 lines. Which would be for the harm and unhappiness of many. What does it mean by many? Okay, Maria? There you go, Maria.
Good evening. I would assume it's referring to everybody.
Everybody. Does it include the person himself who get angry and resentful?
Absolutely.
Your budgie said yes. Okay. All right. So that's good. So if one is angry and one is resentful, they create a dispute in everybody who is surrounding him or her, who is or are in the community, right? So a community, you can say, is a Sangha community. It could be as huge as 1,000 people or 2,000 people. Or even it could be a community. Your family is a community. The society is a community. Your workplace is a community. You see? So a community is actually, there is a lot of interpretation about the word of community. Okay, so anybody who is around that person who is angry and resentful, it will be affected. Not just in the mundane world, it also says the devas are also affected. Why would the devas affected? If this is a human being who get angry and resentful, why would the deva why would the deva be affected? What do you think? Why would the deva get affected? And it causes, because it would be for the harm and unhappiness of many, and for the loss, harm and suffering of devas and humans. Okay. There you go.
Good evening. I understand that devas are also here to support us, so it's a disappointment to them as well.
Exactly. Devas are around all the time. Remember the Buddha when he went into Nibbana, Parinibbana, he said to the devas, please support those beings who are walking on the path to enlightenment, to be free of sufferings. Support them, protect them, right? So whoever that is around such person would be unhappy, would be sad, would be worried, right? So the devas will suffer too. So the Buddha said, so what happens if you know that you are angry and resentful, or if you're not angry and resentful, you should check yourself. So he pointed out 2 points in the paragraph. He said, if you see any such root either in yourselves or externally, you should strive to abandon it. So if you see such roots of anger or resentful or any other shortcomings in yourselves or externally or in others, what do? You should strive to abandon them. but not forcing others to abandon them. He didn't say you should ask others to abandon them also, right? Because there's no way that you can ask others to abandon it unless the others are willing to abandon, unless the others know how to abandon. Right? Right? Right, okay. Okay, so, and then he said about the second point is, if you do not see that you have any of those roots in yourselves or externally, you should practice in such a way that that same evil root of dispute does not erupt in the future. So that means if you do not see that you have such roots in yourself or in others, and you should practice in such a way that in the future those roots will not bear fruits. Okay? So, so he actually mentioned for the rest is actually excuse me, it's the same. And a monk who is contemptuous and insolent. So insolent in Chinese is 輕視輕蔑，即係睇唔起。Contemptuous 就好傲慢啊 ，arrogance. Okay, so a monk who is such contemptuous and insolent, they have to check themselves too, because what it says in the first paragraph, it causes sufferings in the human beings, and it causes sufferings in the devas. Okay, so we have to check ourselves or check the outside. If we do have those evil roots, we need to abandon them. If we don't and the outside don't, then we make sure that they don't erupt in the future. That means they don't raise their head up in the future. Okay, so, and then he said envious and niggardly. So, envious 就係羨慕啊 ，niggardly 就係小氣。So anybody who are envious and stingy, you can use stingy to replace that niggardly, that word. So it's the same. So these are the few traits that the Buddha actually mentioned: deceitful and fraudulent. Okay, so these two, deceitful, 解欺騙 fraudulent 即係造假。So deceitful and fraudulent, that means you are, trying to lie and fake and all that. So, and then he continued. He said, has evil wishes and wrong view. So this is the fifth root. Okay, the fifth roots of dispute. And then what is the sixth is adheres to his own views. Hold on to them tenaciously, like I won't let go. This is my view, I'm right, I'm correct, and you're wrong. And relinquishes them with difficulty. Will not give it up. Will not give it up. So he said, so the Buddha said these six roots are the roots of disputes in a sangha, in a community. It causes sufferings, it causes unhappiness, and it causes harm and loss of many. So he said, such a monk or such a person dwells without respect and deference towards the teacher, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, and he does not fulfill the training. They create a dispute in the Sangha, that which would be for the harm and unhappiness of many, for the loss and harm and suffering of devas and humans. So you can see these six roots. So How do you feel the Buddha actually talk about these 6 roots of disputes? What do you feel? Is it really true? Does it really happen? Have you experienced any of this? Everybody nodding their head. Everybody nodding their head. None of us can escape. None of us. Every day, we go in, we come out, we go in, we come out. Every day, we constantly creating all these roots of disputes with ourselves and with others. That's why just now in mindfulness, especially the last one, relinquishes, yes, my view is right, my view is correct, your view is wrong, you should change, you should work according to my view, you should do according to my view. This me, mine, and I is so big, so big. Okay, Ophelia. Can hear.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have a question about number 1.
Number 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Go back to the number 1.
Number 1. Go back to number 1. Let's see.
There were 2 points about abandoning our views.
Abandoning.
The first point, abandon.
Yeah.
I can understand that we should abandon our view, but when I think about abandoning others, can you elaborate a little bit more? Do I abandon others?
I said just now, you cannot force others to abandon their anger and resentment, to abandon their arrogance, to abandon their views. No, you can't. That's impossible.
Abandon just apply to ourselves.
Exactly. Right? Because he said, you should strive to abandon that same evil root of dispute. You should try. I put it down. You should strive to abandon. Not you should strive to force others to abandon. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So these six points of views, and I think, why do we have all these 6? What do you think of all these 6 points of views? Which one do you think would be the one which will actually cause the other ones? Do you think there will be like a big brother in here among these 6? Big brother. Okay, Nora. Who is the leader?
Wrong view. So if if you understand how things are,
Mm-hmm.
you probably realize how bad these other traits are.
Okay, wrong views. All right, so you pick number 5.
All right, sort of.
Yeah, sort of. Okay. Maria, you didn't see the slides? Your phone is too small? Okay. Everybody look, can everybody see the slides on Zoom? Okay. Okay. So who, from 1 to 6, those roots of disputes, what do you think, which one do you think would cause the arising of the others? Or they all come together? Yijun said number 1. Strong attachment to our views, okay? Yijun, okay? Yijun?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello?
Yes, Yijun.
Yeah, I think number 1 is it's the big brother, because once you get angry, it's very hard to control yourself and you can cause all other evil thoughts come up.
Okay. Okay.
That's my thought.
Okay. Good. Thank you. All right. Jeremy. There you go, Jeremy. Jeremy.
Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say something a little differently, and I'm going to go with number 3, with envious, because when we're envious, it's kind of like a little seed being planted. You can become deceitful, evil-hearted. You know, you hold even more onto your own views. You start being contemptuous of others, and it leads to anger. So I think 3 is what I'm kind of looking at.
Okay. There's no wrong or right. It's just a personal perspective. Anybody else has a different perspective? Molly? Just a minute. Okay, there you go.
I was thinking of number 1, angry and sinful.
Okay.
So when you're angry, you tend to not see things clearly, and your views can be wrong, and your thinking can be all
not in the right place.
Yeah. So that's what I would go with.
Okay, good. So Claudio said if we are very attached to our own views, can't see it, then we stop being teachable. That's good. That's good, Claudio. Claudio said if we are very attached to our own views, we stop being able to be teachable. That means nobody can teach you. Nobody can tell you. Nobody can advise you. Anybody choose any other from these 6? Number 2, okay, Ophelia choose number 2, all right. Would you ask me which one I will pick? Number 6, Chi Ming, it can blind us to every good thing. To every good thing around or inside ourselves. Yes? Tissa has your hand up. Okay, Tissa. There you go, Tissa.
I think I will go with the number 5.
Okay.
Evil wishes and wrong views. When a person has wrong views, then whatever he does has negative connotations.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really a personal thing. Personal interpretation of these 6 roots of disputes. Okay. Anybody else? Before I say anything? Before I influence you? Versha. Okay, Versha. Oh, she. Okay, number 6. Binazg. Okay, Versha.
Yeah, just because it's called the 6 roots of dispute, I think they must all impact each other. So I would think they're all interconnected and impact each other. I can't come up with one. I think they're all equal.
Yeah, they are actually all interconnected. They're all interconnected. But I think we can actually put a summary to these 6 roots of disputes is really views. Because if we have our own views and if we hold on to them, which a lot of times we do hold on to them very tight. Lately, I'm going through a challenge myself. I wanted to change my view to somebody. And I had a very difficult time. And every day I am actually struggling. It's getting better. It's getting better, but still I'm struggling because I hold on to that view so strong that actually I judge this person because of my own views. And because of my own views, and I don't necessarily understand this person's situation, but I judge this person's situations with my own views. And it is actually a very, very strong view. I mean, even though, even though I'm holding on to that view, I'm still okay. I'm still like, I'm not angry. Well, I'm angry, but I'm not angry on my face. I'm not angry on my, actions, but I'm angry inside. I'm impatient inside. I am, what else? What else should I say? But anyway, this inside is really not right. But because I'm holding on to such a view of this person's situations, and of this person, how to deal with the situation. And I tell you, it's very difficult to change. I intentionally change it every day. And I intentionally dive myself into the teachings and find answers. And every day I find answers from the teachings. But this view is fighting. It's constantly fighting that teachings. That teachings go in through here, and this will come in here, and they keep fighting inside. Fighting all the time. And I tell you, for myself, I would say the origination root is number 6. I myself think that is the origin. But of course, this goes round, and you really cannot find an origin because they are all interconnected. Okay? They're all interconnected. But like the 12 links of dependent origination, it has to have an origin somewhere, and the origin is the ignorance. And this is ignorance. This is total ignorance. That's how I feel. This is total ignorance. Because we hold on to our own views, and we are blindfolded by our own views. Aren't we ignorant then? Aren't we ignorant then? Yes or no? No? Somebody no response. No. Aren't we ignorant if we are just holding on to our own views? Our own views are not necessarily correct. No, because the Buddha said, he said, if you check yourself and check the outside world, if you have those evil roots, then you abandon them. You strive to abandon them. But if you don't have those evil roots, what do? You try not to allow it to erupt in the future. Right? So, what kind of practice is that? The right efforts, yeah, the right efforts. Remember the little piggy pulling the weeds out, right? The right efforts in the Eightfold Noble Path. The right efforts. So if we want to create a harmonious community, make sure we check on ourselves constantly with these roots. Moment to moment, are we aware that we have created such a dispute? And how are we going to rectify? How are we going to resolve that situation? And in order to rectify, in order to resolve, the one who creates the disputes has to take the lead role to do this. Otherwise, if the other person take the lead role first, and it will strengthen your view that I'm correct. You know what I mean? Yes, Paul?
When I run into those situations, maybe not every day, but I tell myself, everybody's got a story.
Yeah, it does.
And unless you live that story, you don't fully understand.
Yeah.
So you have to have a very open mind to
Yeah.
that situation or that individual.
Yeah. So just now Claudio said, the moment I call an opinion my opinion instead of an opinion, right? Yeah, so that's where everything starts, when you call that is my opinion. Everything starts. Or every sparkle of dispute starts right there. You're lucky if there is no dispute arise. You're very fortunate, right? So as I said just now, if you are the one who causes the dispute, and if you are not the one who actually rectify and resolve the dispute, remember what I said just now. If somebody was in that dispute together with you, and they come and say to you, I'm sorry, or, maybe we can do it this way, blah, 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 then it's possible that this insolent, or this arrogance could come up, could get stronger, could strengthen that arrogance. Because you see, I told you, it's you, not me. Right? It always happens. It happens too often. Right? So the Buddha said, if you see any of such, either in yourselves or externally, you should strive to abandon them. Remember, you should strive to abandon them, not others should strive to abandon theirs. It's we should strive to abandon ours. Yes, Laurie? Yes.
By that reasoning, I think the big brother has to be the wrong view, or no, number 6, because if you're sticking to your own
Views.
you don't even know that you caused the dispute because you think you're right.
That's what I said.
Yeah, so the penny just dropped for me right now.
Oh, I see. No wonder why you look so puzzled.
Yeah, just dropped for me, and I'm just agreeing with you, Sifu.
Oh, thank you. You don't have to agree with me. It doesn't matter if you don't agree with me. It's just my point of view. It doesn't matter. But, I do think that there is an origin. There is a point of origin. It's just like ignorance leading to this whole 12 links of arising and passing, right? Yeah. So I'm glad that the penny dropped. Okay. All right. Yes, Kwok.
Those 6 things, from my perspective, it looks like there's a lot of self involved in there.
Of course, yes.
It's all self.
It's all this ego thing. Yeah. Me. I. Mine. Yeah. Kwok said here, he said he seems that in these 6 things there is a lot of self in there. Yes. This big I, this big me, this big mind. I. Right? So we are constantly every day struggling with this I. Sometimes it's really hilarious when you look back and say, such a silly act, isn't it? Such a silly act and such a little thing. And you can actually blow it up like 1,000 times, 10,000 times, and explode like a nuclear bomb. And bomb yourself and bomb everybody else. Burn the whole place down. So if you do not see, please practice in a way that same evil root of dispute does not erupt in the future. Okay? So even such a paragraph is so much in there, so much in there for us to learn, and so much in there for us to practice, and so much in there for us to really think about and contemplate and constantly remind ourselves every day. I'm sure tomorrow I'll be a little bit happier because I talk about this today. So my view on that situation could become a little bit less tomorrow because I have this passage to fall back onto, and hopefully I'll be a little bit happier tomorrow. Okay, so the next the next chapter or paragraph actually echoes with this whole teaching. And so the Buddha said the 6 principles of cordiality. Cordiality, you can use the word of harmony. And when I talk about harmony, you see, the world actually supports us all the time. The universe knows that we are walking on the path. And every bit, if you're walking on the right path, every bit of message will come and support you and tell you you are on the right path. I am talking about harmony today. And I got a card. I received a card from the prison today, talking about harmony. Right here, I read it to you. In our interactions with others, gentleness, kindness, respect are the source of harmony. I did not cheat. I can't call him. I only wrote him. Maybe we wrote him 2 weeks ago. We sent out the cards 2 weeks ago to these fellows. And he just sent us a card, and I just opened it just like 5 minutes before the meditation. And he said, thank you for really forming and reshaping my once blackened heart. And he talks about harmony. And we are going to talk about harmony tonight. Cordiality, that means harmony. 6 principles of cordiality. And because in the Sangha, there are 6 principles of cordiality too. So I actually put the 6 principles of harmony together with these 6 principles of cordiality. And it's exactly the same. But I want to put it in the red, is harmony in the Sangha. It's in red, okay? Lục Hòa Kinh. Bodily acts of loving kindness in public and private. So in here, the Buddha said to Ananda, there are 6 principles of cordiality that create love and respect and conduce to cohesion, non-dispute, concord, and unity. If a community is not cohesive, if a community has dispute, if a community is not in concord, that community is not united. And that community will not bring benefits to its members, and will not bring benefits to the others, to anything outside that community. So in order for a community to be a beneficial community, whether it's a real community, it's a mundane community, or a supramundane community, like the monks and nuns, Sangha, it needs to be united. It needs to be cohesive. It needs to be free of dispute, or if there is dispute, resolve and rectify the dispute as soon as possible. And it needs to be in concord with each other. So the wise words of the Buddha said, here a monk maintains bodily acts of loving kindness, both in public and private, towards his companions in the holy life. So this is a principle of cordiality that creates love and respect and conduces to cohesion, non-dispute, concord, and unity. That's the first. In order to live together in harmony, this is the first act of cordiality. Okay? In order to bring harmony. So you don't fight for a bed. You don't fight for, oh, I want this room. You go out. I will take this room. No, you don't. You don't do that. Okay? And then maintain verbal acts of loving kindness. He said, a monk maintains verbal acts of loving kindness, both in public and in private, towards his companions in the holy life. I tell you, these principles of cordiality applies to everybody, not just the Sangha. Okay? So, verbal well-being. It says no arguments, no quarrels, no gossip. You can argue, but no resentment. But when one comes to argue, then there is a lot of, the end result, a lot of times it happens, is resentment and angry and irritation and agitation. Right? Agree? So, when verbal acts of loving kindness, it's so difficult to maintain verbal acts of loving kindness. So very difficult. Especially in a community. Because why? You constantly interact with the same people over and over again. Days in, days out. If your view of that person causes like dissatisfaction to you, I tell you, 24/7 you see that person right in front of you, it constantly irritates you. Just like in this pandemic, you're locked in with your husband, with your wife, with your children. Are they beloved? Are they deared and endeared? Sometimes, but not all the times, right? Sometimes they really get onto your nerves. They do. What can you do? You cannot chuck them out. Go away, go away. You can't. It's pandemic. You're forced to live there. You're forced to stay with them. And then when irritation starts coming, the first very, very easy act that one will commit is verbal act. It's very easy, just too easy. Just too easy because it's so difficult to contain those words. It's very difficult to contain those words in your mouth, inside. And it's let alone you want to swallow it. You can't. So that needs a lot of, really serious mindfulness there. Serious mindfulness and serious equanimity. Otherwise, days in, days out, every day, every moment, every hour. You constantly commit this, make these mistakes here in this aspect. Okay? And then the third principle of cordiality is maintains mental acts of loving kindness. That means the harmony in mental well-being. So because we share the same goal, we want to mentally develop together in that same goal, achieving that same goal, going towards that same goal, and walking on that path towards that same goal. And is it easy? This is not easy, but this happens in the mind, it's in our mind. So whether we have the same goal, sometimes we don't tell people that, I have this goal, and do you have this same goal? We don't ask, we don't tell. And it might not create that much of a problem than the verbal one. But because it's in our mind, and sometimes we will start to judge people. Oh, you see? You know, we can see that in many stories of in the Dhammapada. The monks always go to complain about the other monk. Right? Yeah. That monk is not practicing correctly. He's not practicing diligently, Buddha. What happens to him? Why do you not scold him? The monks are constantly going to, you know, at that time in the Buddha's day, group of monks are constantly going to actually complain about the other monks. Okay, so this is sort of like a mental judgment, a mental afflictions, a mental defilements. Okay, but the Buddha said we need to develop this mental loving kindness so that we understand, we appreciate, we actually embrace others' shortcomings or embrace others' differences, mental differences. Okay, and then enjoy things in common with his virtuous companions. He shares with them any righteous gain that has been obtained in righteous way. So this is fair share, harmony in material share, fair share. So, for example, in the Sangha here, so if people like, I remember you have heard that story before. I love mango. Remember that story? 28 years ago when I was a novice monk. And I was the person who was serving in the dining room, and I look, wow, big mangoes. That there were only a few big mangoes, and most of them are oranges and apples and peaches. So I was the servers. I was one of the servers, and so we actually distribute all the fruits on the table, because everybody has a spot. And they all come in, they eat in silence, and they have their own fruits. So the biggest fruits go to the most senior monks and nuns. So biggest fruit, the mango was that big. Of course, it went into the most senior one. So after lunch, and there was this very senior nun who walked out with her big mango, and I said to her, oh, so nice, you've got such a big mango. And you know what she said to me? She said, well, sorry, you are much junior. You should have renounced much earlier, then you will get this mango. 邊個叫你唔早啲出家？你早啲出家咪可以攞到嗰呢個大芒果咯。So, you know, so then I knew at that time, of course I was a server, so that was the first thing I was taught is fair share. Fair share according to seniority. Whether they are younger than me, but they are senior in monkhood. Oh, she is very much senior than me. If she hasn't passed on, she passed on about 10 years ago. If she hasn't passed on, it must be her 50th year of monkhood. So you know, so fair share. So don't complain, no complain. And if we got to choose, then the most senior one got to choose first. But normally we don't allow people to choose. In a Sangha, we actually distribute out things. Okay, so that's his fourth one. Then the fifth one is possesses in common those virtues that are unbroken, untorn, unblemished, unmottled, freeing, praised by the wise, ungrasped, leading to concentration. And this actually is harmony in morality, good moral standard to practice together. We get, you know, this is the blue one is the language in what the Buddha said, and the red one is what actually we normally use in the Sangha. Harmony in morality. So because we are a Sangha member, and the Sangha actually is built up upon morality. We share the same, we have the same standards of morality. And no, it's not that I'm more senior, I have more intense morality. You are junior, you have less intense morality. No, it's the same. Everybody to their own, what do you say? How can I say? Status or their own. For example, I'm a senior nun, and somebody is a Shramanera. Then Shramanera, in their own perspective, they have to abide by such rule, such morality, and bhikkhuni have to abide by such a bhikkhuni morality. So it's based on what the Buddha has given us, on precepts, on the vijnana. So because we base on this foundation, a good moral foundation to practice together, hopefully we are very mindful of these foundations, and hopefully we are very mindful of these rules of morality that we have to abide by, constantly. Otherwise, you see a lot of, I could say, bad behaviors. Dwells in private and public, possessing that view that is noble and emancipating, and leads the one who practices in accordance with it to the complete destruction of suffering. So harmony in views, share the same understanding. Even though if our view is not the same, we can still have harmony. We can still have harmony. If we embrace others' views, if we start to put ourselves in others' shoes, and if we start to see my view is not the only view, my view is not always the correct view, then there will be harmony. There will be less gossip, there will be less quarrel. If we always see that my view is the right view, then there will be a lot of misunderstanding. There will be a lot of disharmony. Okay? So the Buddha said these 6 principles of cordiality will create love and respect, and conduce to cohesion, to non-dispute, to concord, and to unity. So if you want your family, a small community, a personal community, or if you want your workplace, or if you want your society, or if you want your groups, any group that you belong to, volunteer group, or a coffee group, or a hiking group, or Sangha group, these 6 rules can easily be applied to any group. And of course, the fair share is actually really talking about the Sangha. But we can also share. We can also share our revenues. Remember last couple of lectures, right? Remember last couple of lectures, the Buddha said how a good man used his wealth, right? How many aspects? How many ways? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Flip through your notes. Flip through your page, your book. 4, very good. 4 ways, yes, 4 ways. And which, of course, inside there are little points. So if we want the world to be a harmonious world, it has to start from yourself and extend to outside. If you don't start from yourself, what you extend to outside would be what the outside world doesn't need. Right? If you are not inharmonious within yourself, and what you radiate out from this disharmony is disharmony. So that's it for tonight. Reflections time. So what are the causes for verbal or relationship disharmony in community? Quiz time. Quiz time. What are the causes? Okay, Irene. There you go.
And wrong view.
Wrong view, okay. Okay, you said wrong view, all right. Good, thank you. Anybody else? Some of you have voiced that out already just now. Anybody else? Simple answers. The 6 roots of disputes. All 6 roots. Verbal or relationship. Remember, relationship could be physical, could be mental, right? And could be verbal. Yeah? So it's just, bodily, verbal, and mental. So it encompasses the 6 roots of disputes, encompass all these. Right? Are you in contemplation? Are you still thinking? Ivy is scratching her head. She doesn't seem to understand. Okay? All right, second question. With the 6 principles of cordiality, what are the important aspects and principles? What do you think? Laurie? There you go. Say that again, please.
All of them.
All of what?
All of the 6 principles, what are the important aspects?
Uh-huh.
All
of them are important.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are the principles?
Versa's got her hand up.
Okay, okay. You are good friends. You're really good friends. Versa is looking down at you from the valley, from top of the Rider Lake mountain. Okay, Versa.
In terms of aspects and principles, I think the first 3 are about loving kindness and the last are about sharing.
Good. Very good. Yes. Okay, who else? Somebody said that one should start from oneself. That's good too. Yes?
I like that it has both in private and in public.
Yes.
So it's very unified.
Unified, and also it encompasses yourself and others. It encompasses the whole world. You're private and public, right? So Eva said that she likes this in private and in public. So you don't just do it privately, you also do it publicly. And you don't just do it publicly. You go home, you do it at home. You don't just do it on the surface to please others or for reasons that people praises you. Oh, you're such a nice person. You're such a cordial person. But in private and in public, you are the same. And it's more so in private. Because in private, Nobody can see you. Nobody is watching over you. Right? Whether you're cordial or not, nobody knows. It's only yourself. So that's why mindfulness is important, to keep checking on yourself, whether you're cordial or not. Yes, Maria? Yes, Maria?
Okay, got it. Sort of on the subject, but a little bit of a sidebar. When I was in school, I used to belong to a debate team.
Okay.
And I think a lot of what I learned in the debate is it didn't matter what the subject was, because you were either going to be for it or against it, right?
Yes.
You had to make the arguments,
Yes.
and it didn't matter
Yes.
what your personal opinion was.
Yes.
But I think over time, people have forgotten how to have a really good, clean debate where you can share your ideas and your opinions and not necessarily have to have a cordial outcome.
Yes.
You don't necessarily have to agree or disagree, that you've just shared ideas.
Yeah.
And you can both walk away and go, I might have learned something today, or no, I really didn't agree with him, but he had a good point.
Yes.
That kind of conversation is really missing in today's world.
Because of the views of the ego, of the selfishness, of the arrogance, of the non-mindfulness. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it just seems that every conversation has to have a right or a wrong.
Yeah, duality.
And that's not necessarily so.
Why do you think that every conversation or everything has to have a right or wrong? Nowadays people think. Ego, yeah. Ego, this self.
And the me and mine and
I am right, I am right, you are wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why we are so lucky to actually have the teachings, because the Buddha always constantly teaches us non-duality. Be centered. Always be centered. When you are centered, it's more possible that you will be able to see others' perspective, to be able to put yourself in others' shoes and understand why would they do it this way. Or even though you don't understand, you will still be okay to accept the way they are. Otherwise, if we are standing here, we will definitely not be able to see that view as much as we are from the center. If we are standing here, we won't be able to see that view as much as we are at the center. Right? If we are centered, if you want to see any view, you are just at the center. Like our conduit in our construction. Everything has to come into the main building, right into the main building. They call it Dhamma. I'm getting so professional, I know. You don't understand what is a Dhamma, right? So go into a Dhamma and then split, and then come back out from the Dhamma into the accessories. You see? When you're there, it's centered. Then you see that point, you're not too far away. But if you are here looking at there, then you always see very differently, and you always could be very, very biased. And bias come from our views. These are all entangled together. So much entangled together. And that big one thing that entangle us is that egoistic view. That ego. That me, mine, and I. So can these resolve those verbal disharmony? Of course. So why do we have to study, right? Why do we have to practice? Of course they can. But we can actually spend a couple of minutes discussing the next one, okay? it says here harmony in morality, right? And then he says harmony in view. So since the community is based on the same morality, we based on, okay, Bhikkhuni precepts, Shramanera precepts. At home, you base on the 5 precepts or 3 precepts, or at least based on respect and loving kindness, okay? Okay, so our view, my view and your view. Then I want to ask you to think about this. If we are asked to pursue seeking harmony in morality, harmony in view, do you think that it is possible or it will create tension or suppress free speech? On different opinions or views. That means nobody is allowed to speak freely. Can I say something about what I think I feel? Catherine? Yes, Catherine?
What's your question?
Oh, good question is, would the pursuit of
Discussion with the pursuit of seeking and cultivating this true harmony
cause tension or suppression
of
of free speech on different opinions or views?
free speech on different opinions.
Or views.
You mean the harmony in morality?
No.
Morality and in view?
Yeah.
Tension of, I don't think so.
Okay, you don't think so.
With the pursuit of seeking this harmony,
that means we encourage people. Yeah, that means we encourage people to actually cultivate this harmony in morality and in view, and also in verbal conduct. So does it mean that would it be possible that we will create some tension?
It will not cause tension.
So Eva was sharing a story about her kids. Her children are working at a blueberry farm, picking blueberries, and on the way home, they told the mom, "It's so good to have a parents who are very religious." They call this a religion, and then because the farms where the kids work have a lot of evangelical children to go and pick blueberries. And the kids actually get along very well with those so-called not so-called, the Christians. And but other kids who parents do not have any religion, these kids have have a lot of difficulty getting along with these Christians, evangelical Christians. And I ever asked them why? Because of the morality. Because of the morality that the parents have had, and also the parents kept telling, Kwok and Eva kept telling the kids, kept teaching the kids about morality. So beforehand, they have difficulty dealing with these evangelical Christians, but now they get along very well with them. That's great, good. So it won't suppress, it won't cause any tension if practiced properly. If practiced properly, that's good. So it's great. Any questions? Our world seems to be about winning instead of reaching the truth. Yeah, winning. Winning in the material world, not winning in the spiritual world. That's the problem. Winning in the material world. Comparing in the material world. Oh, I'm rich. They are not. Oh, my car is better. My car is better. Her car is not better. Her car is a tin pot. Right? Okay. Okay, Catherine. Yes?
People, I do have a question on the harmony part.
it's about, even though we can say that it's our ego, but I mean, if we stick to our will, but if we see somebody, the other person doesn't have the right will, so instead of causing a dispute, we just don't create any of those verbal anger
or
disharmony.
Yeah, you see,
right? But still,
no,
how to resolve?
no. You see, when
the inside, change our will. What we cannot change our right will into other people's will.
No.
We don't think is right.
No, we cannot change others' view, but we can change our attitude on how to deal with these people. Right? So if you know that that person is blind, you're not going to follow him. But when the blind person is going off the cliff, are you going to save him? You will save him, right? Because of loving kindness. You will save him. At that time, it doesn't matter about your view. It's loving kindness. The Buddha said it's loving kindness. Remember, in there, in the community. So these two, actually these two chapters relate to each other a lot. Okay, so don't forget that we have to deal with loving kindness. Then if we are dealing with loving kindness, there will not be dispute, even though it's different opinion, right? You will listen, you will hear, you will understand, and you will appreciate why people do it this way. But if you don't listen, and you don't hear, and you just say, wow, you're wrong. That's it. Okay? All right, Maria?
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Use
Loving kindness, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Maria, please. Maria, please.
Cannot hear.
Okay. Maria? Maria, you have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Sorry, I thought I had. I missed the button. I think we have to also remember that we're all on different karmic paths.
Yes.
Right? And some of us are more evolved in this lifespan as opposed to others.
Yeah. We have to accept them the way they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you don't know what their past lives or this life is, so they're on the path that they need to be on.
Yeah.
And can't change that.
Exactly. And that's where respect sits in. We respect their karma, and they should respect our karma too. Okay? It's good. Great. Okay, we dedicate our merits. May these blessings extend to all, that we with all the other living beings together will attain the Buddha way. May we wish more and more people will encounter the words of the Buddha, the wise words of the Buddha, study them, understand them, practice them, implement them into their lives, and change their lives. Come out of the entanglements and be truly happy and peaceful, so that they can truly share their happiness and peace with everybody around them. Everybody be well, be safe, be secure, be happy, and be peaceful.